Welcome to the Rising Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and their journey. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I'm the co-host of this show, and every week we feature smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies. And if you check out the archives, we've got lots of great episodes for you to check out there. And this episode is brought to you by EO San Francisco, which is the San Francisco Bay Area chapter of the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a global peer-to-peer network of more than 20,000 influential business owners across 200 chapters, 61 countries. And if you're the founder, co-founder, or controlling shareholder of a company generating over $1 million a year in revenues, and you want to connect with other like-minded successful entrepreneurs, EO is for you. And the EO San Francisco chapter was founded in 1991. Today has over 100 members in a variety of different industries. So if you want to learn more, you can go to eonetwork.org/San Francisco or eosf.org and come check out a test drive and see what we're all about. And my name is John Corcoran, and I am the co-founder of Rise 25 and a board member at EO San Francisco. Been on the board for about 4 years now, and I have a company called Rise 25 that does Done For You podcasts for B2B businesses. And let's get into today's guest. Today's guest is Shalini Lunia. She is the co-founder at Cielo, which is a platform based out of San Francisco that focuses on facilitating authentic in-person connections through curated small group gatherings. And she has a long international background. I was just talking with her beforehand about growing up in multiple different countries, exploring the world, and very international background through her family that was in the jewelry space. So we're going to get into that. And Shalini, it's such a pleasure to have you here today. First of all, your dad, at a very young age, came from India to New York, came from a family of jewelers. You said you are a 9th generation jeweler. That's insane. And he ended up in New York and basically packed up a bag of antiques and was hosting these big, fabulous Indian parties that got all kinds of attention. So quite the introduction to the United States. Tell me what your memories are of this era as a kid growing up around this environment.
I grew up playing with gemstones. Most kids grow up playing with toys. I grew up playing with gemstones, assorting them color-wise, shape-wise, and that's how we grew up every time. My mom was 17 when she had me. So having young kids, I think, was probably tough to engage them. So we were given these also with bags full of gemstones or rubies and sapphires and kind of assort them. So yeah, that's what
my kids misplace toys all the time. I can't imagine, anyone seen the $1,000, 10 karat ruby?
We were good kids.
Where did it go?
We were good kids. We were responsible kids. My mom always says that. She always says, "You never gave me trouble in your childhood."
That's good.
So yeah,
I guess you don't give the troublesome child the bag of rubies and let them play with them.
So yeah, I grew up with gemstones, but living between New York, Bangkok, Chantapuri, and Jaipur. So all very cities which have a long history of gemstones, and that's what my background has been.
Wow. And so you grew up around that, and you said your parents were hosting Indian parties. Was that like a way of kind of getting attention to the business and selling the jewelry?
This is the 1970s. There were not too many Indians around. We were probably maybe just 10 families in New York. This is before
10 Indian families in New York.
Yeah,
wow.
This is early 70s. You could not even go to a restaurant. I'm a vegetarian, so this was like a very close-knit who just interacted with each other. So when Indian was looked, the only Indians you would see is probably with some heritage or something. So, and Indian jewels at some point these were like museum-worthy pieces. Most pieces that they were selling are probably museum-worthy today. So.
Wow.
That had a lot of attention, and we had a lot of clients because we had a jewelry store at the Rambagh Hotel. So through that network, We were in the New York Society and selling these jewels in Palm Beach, hosting parties in Palm Beach at that point. I don't know what these guys were doing. I'm always amazed at how they just came with barely any education, and they just came to New York, just decided to come to New York and make it a
That's,
life.
I mean, New York is such an intimidating place, and especially in the 70s, had a higher crime rate and things like that. I couldn't
Yeah,
imagine there being 10 Indian families there and assimilating yourself to that
yeah,
society and then selling these expensive jewels. That's crazy. Did
yeah.
your mother and father, were they great at sales? You know?
I think my dad and my uncle were.
Uh-huh.
Also, the jewels spoke for themselves. I think they had this great collection. My dad passed away in 2001, and then briefly when I'm working with the jewelry industry, I meet people. I meet people at the Vegas show. I meet people and who see my name and they actually ask me about my dad. So, um,
Hmm.
it was interesting. It's always
Yeah.
interesting. I got to know a lot of stories through them, which I had no idea. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I was talking to a jeweler recently because one of my sons is really interested in precious metals like silvers and things like that. And he's kind of entrepreneurial. He goes to garage sales, finds like these like silver items, buys them, and then sells them to a jeweler. And I was talking with him about the change in the diamond market. I don't know how closely you followed this, but we talk about like disruption from like AI and things like that all the time here in the San Francisco Bay Area. But you don't think of these like long-standing professions like jewelry being affected by changes in technology, but it really has. He
Oh,
told me,
definitely.
I was shocked. I mean, he told me that the diamond market has nearly collapsed, I think, in his words, because
Yeah.
of these new lab-grown diamonds that's really affecting this industry.
Yes. So I work with precious stones, which means rubies, emeralds, sapphires, and the other semi-precious. And they have boomed. They have multiplied. I don't even know how many times in the last 5 years, because as diamonds have crashed, the precious stones have boomed. And it's true with AI, with technology coming in, it's becoming harder and harder.
Are you
And that's why I
fearful
think
that they'll take that lab grown technology and then apply it to rubies and other
no, you
precious?
cannot do it. It's not
Mm.
possible.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I can give you, if you want a 10 carat diamond, I can give you multiples. But if you want a 10 carat ruby, I can only give you one. I cannot replicate. So each
Interesting.
ruby, each emerald, each sapphire is very unique. You
Mm,
cannot replicate, and it has its own inherent characteristics, which you cannot
yeah.
imitate
It's
or,
interesting
or
because,
produce.
historically there, it used to be that, immigrants could move borders and bring a bunch of diamonds with them. And it's like basically moving money, right?
Yeah,
Like it was a solid, way of
it still
taking
is.
capital. Is
It
it?
still is.
Hmm.
So yeah, the reason
Interesting.
that precious stones have boomed a lot more now,
Well,
uh, it's easier to move money.
interesting. So you grew up in New York, but then soon your family actually moves to Thailand and then eventually to India. So you actually moved around a lot as a kid. Talk a little bit about that. And in addition to that, you said that your family would always take you to a new country every year and you'd rent a car. This is, a time when it was before the internet,
Doesn't
more difficult to travel around in these places. What was that like?
that I never realized it was not ordinary till I got married, and I got married into a family which did not know what travel is. They thought travel is that you do once in a lifetime when you retire and you do a world trip, and they would book through these tour agencies. So it was very interesting because for me it was a normal, right? You get into a new country, land at the airport, rent a car, stand in those queues, which gives where you find a hotel, or you just drive around looking for a hotel and ask where you should go next. I mean, there was only Lonely Planet at that point, and I don't think my parents were even using Lonely Planet. So they would just ask. I think my dad was very adventurous. He would just ask. He would get interested in the country and then take us next year.
Wow.
We went to Expo in Japan in 1985, the exposition. We went to Greece one year. We went to Hong Kong. So it was a very interesting childhood.
And then speaking of adventurous, you said that the Vietnam War ended and he discovered ruby mines in Vietnam, which is like, how does that happen? Like you go to a war zone and he's like looking around for ruby mines?
I can't even comprehend it because I don't even understand how he got to know of them because we didn't have Google. But it's not like it's on the internet and you've reached that. He's obviously with someone who told him and he went there and he would take his rice cooker and he was cooking there because there's no vegetarian food available there. So and he would go on his own. It was not like he was taking two people with him. So
Going
my
around in the
memories of him,
jungle, just trying to find, caves.
movies,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And
crazy.
mines, yeah, but he kind of discovered the first ruby mines, and we were, yeah. So that's what it
Yeah.
is. And after Vietnam came Madagascar, he was doing the Madagascar ruby mines. So, and then he went to the Kashmir sapphire mine. So he was an adventurous
He's
guy.
like a Indiana Jones.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've got this international life. You're going to Geneva, New York, things like that. You're high society. At the same time, you're raised in a culture where women were not allowed to work. They weren't allowed to be entrepreneurial, but you had in you, because you eventually become an entrepreneur, this side to you that was kind of bubbling up, an entrepreneurial side. Tell me a little bit about what that experience was like, being raised in a very entrepreneurial family, but not at all like groomed to go into this work.
So we girls were brought up to be good wives. So cooking, knitting, stitching, embroidery, any kind of crafts, you all had to learn all of that while growing up. So the goal is to become a good wife because you're raised as one day you have to go to your own house. So you have to understand where we come from. We live in a family learning to make sure that we become good wives. And I remember after my 12th grade, we had a long summer break, and there was not much to do. So I wanted to start working in his office, in my dad's office. So he gave me this ruby packet, and he told me to sort. And these were like really, really small rubies. And I think he thought it's gonna take me a full day to sort them. And I think I gave it back to him like within the hour. And he just wrapped it up and he said, whatever you want to do, you will have to do after you get married. Because I think he realized that I was too quick. And that was not encouraged.
Mm.
Because um, it was like if you learn too much about business, then you might want to do business when you get married. So it might work out for you. So
Mm.
stick to the home skills.
Mm.
So I learned cooking at the age of 14. Uh, Anyways, so that was that. And then that was my growing up. And then I got married into a family where we went through a huge crisis. So more hands were required. So I started helping them with their design and we launched a new edible oil company. So I
And this
started
was
with,
a company that sorry, it was a family business that was in agricultural commodities and
we were
edible
into
oils.
everything from cement to rubber to granite to edible oil. We were probably one of the largest companies in India at that point of time.
What was that like entering into a family and a family business like that?
India in those days, even if you had something like that, it was still, the lifestyles are very similar. There was not a big gap how it is today. It was different. At that point, I think only family backgrounds mattered. That you just got married into. The disparity was not as high. But it was interesting because there was so much. It took me so when I got married, I'll tell you a funny story. When I got married, I knew they were into oils. So in my mind, I thought it was the engine oil. I didn't think it was edible. I mean, how would I know? No one told me. and their brand was called Rocket. And in the local language, diesel is called Rockel. So everywhere on the gas station, the petrol pump, I would see these signs saying, "You get Rocket here, you get Rocket here." So I was very impressed. Um, and I was buying it, and I was living between Pune and Bombay. And in my Bombay house, I was buying a rival brand edible oil. And one day my husband saw me, he's like, "Why are you buying this?" And I was like, "Oh, this is a good brand. It's a good edible oil." And I said, and then like, "You do know we make oil." And I think it was only about a year and a half, 2 years that I did not know that we make edible oil. So that's how protected you are
Wow.
when you get married. So that's my first.
And you actually
And
got
it's
involved eventually in that line of the business, correct?
I got involved because I started designing the posters, and then I got into the marketing and distribution of the edible oils because just starting the um, edible oil brand. So that started my entrepreneurial journey. It was supposed to be only 2 hours in the office, and then it just grew more and more. And
Why
then,
was the family, was it because of your family member that they were okay with you, a woman, getting involved in the business side? Because you said on the one hand, you women, girls are not allowed to be involved in business, but on the other
I
hand, you stepped in, or was it a process over time where they built trust and, or was it times were changing in India?
oh, it wasn't intentional. I only went to design in the posters. I only went in like I would only visit. I would only go to office just to visit my husband because there was so much time. I mean, I didn't know anyone in the city that I got married to, so that was my pastime. Like go for lunch and have lunch, and then we're designing these posters. I said, "Oh, okay, I can help." And that's how it started. And then when we were posting, I had to choose, oh, what areas would you like the posters to be? And then when I was shopping, I said, oh, these markets don't have edible oils. These stores don't have edible oils. So it was not intentional. I just got into it. Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
see it as work. I was more like, oh, these stores don't have, so I'll go approach them or send one of the
Got it.
staff to. That's how it all started.
And
Yeah.
then an opportunity came along through this business in the early 2000s. So construction was booming in India, and apartment buildings were being built. And it was a situation where previously in India, every house had a cylinder that had their, I guess, their heating oil. And so these apartment buildings, instead of having cylinders, they needed infrastructure where the oil would be supplied to the apartment buildings. And you saw this opportunity for you guys to step into that. So talk a little bit about what you did there.
So the opportunity actually started because one of the parties we met, this head from the Hindustan Petroleum guy. And in those days, there was only two companies which would supply the gas. And we were just talking and all the construction and, how much space and the safety of the cylinders, because those days the cylinders would burst and there were fires. So we're just talking and like, oh, we're looking for people. So, oh, great opportunity. And we have a real estate background and most of my friends were in real estate. So I saw this opportunity and then we started talking about it. But these are also desperate times because we were, as the company had completely crashed at that point. So we were looking to make something. I don't think at that point they looked at if it's a woman or not. It was just the need of the hour. And then we started with Pune and then we expanded into Bangalore, Goa, Delhi. By the time I left, I think we had about 40,000 units
Wow.
we were working with.
Wow. And with that, the family was okay with you kind of running with that initiative?
Um, I think when you're growing, you don't realize it.
Mm.
I think it's only when I think certain things happen that you realize, because I still had a father-in-law in picture. So,
Was he
yeah, I
running the
think
business? The father-in-law was running the
my
business?
father-in-law still runs the business.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I think it's only when I think I was also maturing and I wanted to say in certain things. Is I think probably that became difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So, this business is growing. You eventually have a life change. You end up getting divorced and you come to the United States, kind of Shalini 2.0, if you will. And you start this company, which is called Cielo. What motivated that? What came up? How'd you come up with that idea?
so I have moved so many times, and every time I moved, like by the time I stopped making friends, I moved. And in the younger years, you still find people. But it was so hard, right? Because like when I got married, I came into Pune, I didn't know anyone. And especially if you want to go for a play or something, and you just could not go because either your husband's not interested and you have no friends to go with. And then I moved to Bombay as a single woman, and that was hard. And then through COVID, we went through these where it was so hard to make friends. And I was actually traveling during COVID. I would move from city to city. Whenever a city was started closing down, I was living between Goa, New York, Jaipur. Um, and that's how the idea came up. What if there was an app just to find people and smaller groups, not like Meetup, which are larger groups, just smaller groups, just to go out for dinner, just to go out maybe for a concert. If I could just find those one or two people that I could just hang out with.
Yeah.
And it was San Francisco. It's a tech city. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't do it here.
Right.
So that's how Cielo started.
Wow. And how did you find a co-founder? How did you get it off the ground initially after you had the vision for it, the idea for it?
So my co-founder also went through something similar because he was studying at Santa Clara and COVID hit, and he's also moved a couple of times. And he went through the same issue. He's much younger. He's only about 28, 26. So he went through a similar, like, it's so hard to find friends if you're not in college. Even if you're in college, according to our research, um, an average American moves 3 times in his lifetime. And it takes 3 months to finally make friends, to find a golf buddy or to you want to play tennis. But it takes first 3 months. It's so crucial. And that's where our app comes in. App comes in for people who are looking for that company
Yeah.
to find a buddy.
Yeah. And how has
To go
it
with.
been building that company compared to other companies that you've worked with before? Like kind of a different animal, right? An app and
Oh, yeah. Because it's earlier I've dealt with from labor to shop owners to wholesalers. I've dealt with people selling a product. Here, I have to invite people to participate. It's too different. It's
Yeah.
just too different ballgame. And it's also tech. Uh, I'm not very, very tech savvy. So my co-founder is the CTO. So he takes care of it. It's a little challenging, but I'm enjoying it. I meet a lot of people. It's fun to go out in a city and kind of promote the app. It's been an interesting journey so far.
Yeah. It's great when you're scratching your own itch because you understand the challenge better than if you're creating some business in some area where you're not involved or you're
Yeah.
not the own use case.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's been a very interesting journey
Yeah.
because now it's about people who want to belong and be
Right.
giving them a space to belong. But my biggest challenge is that people still think, oh, it's an app. But yeah, it's been a very interesting journey.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
also a
And,
very self-learning journey. You understand so much about yourself.
and in this age of, where smartphones, people feel lonelier than ever, I think that there will always be a need for that sort of thing. There will always be a need for human connection with other people.
Yeah. Loneliness is one of the biggest issues that I think the next generation is going to face. We are going to face. So we're trying to bring people out. You want to go to a concert, you don't have company, get on the app.
Right.
So come out
Right.
of your homes.
So how does one use it? Like you mentioned, you're going to Outside Land next weekend, which is a big concert in San Francisco. I was actually just at Golden Gate Park last weekend for this Dead and Company. So I mean, it's huge, lots of people there. So does one go on the app and like just say who else is going to this? I'd love to meet up with some other people.
So you can post it on the app. Outside Lands, 12 a.m. a particular show if you're interested in, and maybe other people would show up. And then there's a chat option, and you can chat and meet up. So yeah, you can just post it as an event, and people can sign up. It's only limited to 6 people. So we're encouraging smaller group, bigger conversations. So it's easier to manage. It's not like 50 people going to a concert. It's only limited to 6 people. And other people can request to attend your event, and you can accept if you like. You can go through the profiles. Each profile is verified, so your Insta or your LinkedIn or one of the socials is attached.
Yeah.
So you can see who the person is and if you're gonna vibe with the person or not. And
Yeah. Well, I know it's not easy building a new platform like that, but I think that is such an important cause, helping people to feel less lonely in today's world. So I think it's really cool that you decided to take on that challenge. Shalini, this has been so much fun hearing about your background, your story, and all that kind of stuff. Where can people go to learn more about you or learn more about Cielo or any of the things that we talked about here?
I'm on LinkedIn, Shalini Lunia. I think that's the best spot to be.
Okay.
To find me.
And Cielo on any app store.
Cielo.social.
Cool.
It's on Android and Apple. Both.
Awesome.
Cielo.social.
Awesome. Thanks, Shalini.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thanks for listening to the Rising Entrepreneurs Podcast. This episode is powered by Rise 25. Please subscribe and check out future episodes.